Welcome to Starship TV. This is a biography of Charles Fort, a biography. Charles Hoy Fort, August 6, 1874, May 3, 1932, was an American writer and researcher who dedicated his life to the study of anomalous phenomena, events and occurrences that defied conventional scientific explanation. Though he was not a scientist himself, his meticulous collection of such reports from newspapers, scientific journals and other sources laid the groundwork for what is now known as Fortiana, and he remains a highly influential figure in the study of the unexplained. Early life and influences. Born in Albany, New York, to a stern and authoritarian grocer father of Dutch ancestry, Fort's early life was marked by a rebellious spirit and a deep distrust of authority. In his unpublished autobiography, Many Parts, he alluded to physical abuse suffered at the hands of his father, which his biographer Damon Knight suggested fueled his lifelong skepticism. Despite being described as curious and intelligent, Fort was not a successful student and eventually dropped out of high school. He was largely self-educated, voraciously reading in libraries and developing a broad and unconventional understanding of the world. As a young man, he harbored an interest in natural history, collecting seashells, minerals, and birds. At the age of 18, seeking to put some capital in the bank of experience, Fort embarked on a 3-year world tour, traveling through the western United States, Great Britain and South Africa. He fell seriously ill in South Africa, likely with malaria, and was nursed back to health by Anna Filing, his father's maid. Marriage and early writing career. In 1896, Charles Fort married Anna Filing. They settled in the Bronx, New York City, where they often struggled financially. Fort pursued various odd jobs, but his primary focus was on reading, research, and writing. He initially aspired to be a fiction writer. While he faced numerous rejections, his short stories, often humorous observations of tenement life, began to gain some traction in the magazine market around 1905. He found a significant supporter in Theodore Dreiser, then an editor, who championed his work and helped get his novel, The Outcast Manufacturers, published in 1909. However, Fort's unique and often satirical writing style didn't achieve widespread commercial success. The shift to anomalous phenomena. A turning point in Fort's life came in 1916, when he received an inheritance from an uncle. This financial independence allowed him to abandon his day jobs and dedicate himself fully to his burgeoning interest in unexplained phenomena. For over 30 years, Fort immersed himself in the archives of the New York Public Library, and, during a 2-year stay in London, 1924 to 1926, the British Museum, he meticulously read scientific journals, newspapers, magazines, and books, diligently collecting accounts of events that mainstream science ignored, dismissed, or inadequately explained. These included strange atmospheric phenomena, unusual falls of objects like frogs, fish, and red snow, spontaneous human combustion, teleportation like disappearances and reappearances, and reports of unidentified flying objects long before the modern UFO era. The books of Charles Fort. Fort synthesized his extensive research into 4 groundbreaking and highly influential books. The Book of the Damned, 1919. This was his first and arguably most famous work. The Damned referred to the vast amount of data that science had excluded or ignored because it didn't fit established paradigms. Fort presented a multitude of bizarre occurrences, challenging the authority and completeness of scientific knowledge. New Lands, 1923. In this book, Fort explored the possibility of unknown lands or objects existing in Earth's vicinity, or even overlapping with our own reality. He speculated about translocations and the potential for things to appear and disappear mysteriously. Lowe, 1931. Continuing his catalog of anomalies, Lowe delved further into celestial phenomena, strange weather patterns, and unexplained biological events. The title itself, an exclamation of surprise and wonder, reflects Fort's approach to the bizarre. Wild Talents, 1932, published shortly after his death, this book explored unusual human abilities and potential, including telekinesis and other wild talents. It also touched upon the idea of a controlling force or intelligence behind some of the anomalies he documented. Key ideas and legacy. Fort's work was characterized by skepticism towards scientific dogma. He didn't necessarily believe in all the phenomena he documented. but he vehemently criticized the scientific establishment for its arrogance in dismissing anything that didn't fit its current understanding. Emphasis on data. Despite his often whimsical and satirical writing style, Fort based his arguments on a vast collection of documented reports. He urged readers to consider the sheer volume of evidence for strange events. Humor and satire. Fort employed wit and irony to challenge conventional wisdom, making his books both thought-provoking and entertaining. He often turned the tables on scientific explanations, highlighting their own absurdities and inconsistencies. The cosmic joker concept. Implicit in his work was the idea that some unknown force or intelligence might be deliberately manipulating or orchestrating bizarre events, a concept often referred to as the cosmic joker. Early proponent of extraterrestrial hypotheses. While not explicitly stating belief in alien spacecraft in the modern sense, Fort was among the first to suggest that strange aerial objects might be crafts from elsewhere, predating the widespread UFO phenomenon. He also hinted at the idea of alien abduction to explain strange disappearances. Despite facing ridicule from some quarters, Fort's work gained a dedicated following of Fortians, who continue to investigate and document anomalous phenomena. His books have inspired numerous writers, particularly in the realm of science fiction, and his influence can be seen in the development of paranormal research and the ongoing questioning of scientific boundaries. The term Fortean is now used to describe strange, unexplained events. Later life and death. In his later years, Fort suffered from poor health and declining eyesight. He distrusted doctors and refused medical treatment. He was in the process of completing another manuscript, likely titled Wild Times, when he collapsed on May 3, 1932, in the Bronx. He was rushed to the Royal Hospital, where he died later that day, likely from leukemia. He was interred in the family plot in Albany, New York. Though he died relatively unknown to the wider public, Charles Fort's unique perspective and tireless dedication to the study of the unexplained have secured his place as a pivotal figure in the history of anomalistics, and a lasting inspiration for those who dare to question the limits of accepted knowledge. You're watching Starship TV. Thank you for joining us today for the biography of Charles Fort. Be sure to like,